So, next one is, what excites you about the evolution of this genre as a whole right now?
The evolution of the genre. I could see how a band that normally would play a club show to like 100 people will go on a festival like Psycho Las Vegas and play to like 1,000, and I don't think that was really that much of a thing back then. I guess there was stuff like Milwaukee Metal Fest back in the day, shit like that, but I feel like just metal festivals and that whole scene is starting to pick up in the US as well as like it's huge in Europe too, but I feel like that's kind of cool. Like people are more accepting and open-minded for extreme bands, and that's a good spot to be. I do dislike the separation of extreme music. Like I feel like there's too many subgenres, and people like just stick to one certain subgenre, which is like I've always been against that. And I don't know if it's like we were talking about earlier about being like a 90s kid and just like being like into like diverse all kinds of music all the time, which most people are, but I feel like with extreme metal a lot of times it just gets put into separate things, and you can't like that, you can't like that, and we've always tried to like not be a part of that and just kind of accept everyone and mix our bill. I mean, we're playing with fucking Crowbar tonight, you know, like it's weird and awesome, and everybody's there smiling their ass off all night, so it keeps things interesting. That's what I like about it. Yes, I like about what we do. I don't know.
I think the coolest thing, and like you said, some bands go out and it's like death metal band, death metal band, death metal band, death metal band.
Which is fine, you know, sometimes.
but if it's like this...
But if that's the only music you like, what is that life? You know? Like, what is that fucking... That's depressing, man. Like, fucking... You think I only listen to thrash bands? Get the fuck out of here, you know?
Alright, so here's the next one, right? I ask a lot of death metal heads this one because it's kind of pushed it to the boundaries to the max. But how do you think bands are going to push the boundaries and expand, you know, thrash, black metal, death metal in the future? Like, I mean,
like to make it crazier?
Yeah.
If I'd have known, I'd probably be a fucking millionaire. You know, like if I could tell, I don't know, like, well, the fucking the jazz bands or whatever are peeing on each other on stage now, so I guess we're gonna step it up to poo-poo or something. I don't know. Fucking, I mean, Wataine's pretty extreme. They do the dead animal stuff or whatever, you know, like, who would have fucking thought of that, you know? Like, that's crazy. So, yeah, I don't know. That's $1 million question, I guess. I mean, I see bands, there's so much, like, cool, like, creative death metal bands that are coming out right now that are really making it interesting, and it's cool to see how that genre is starting to like mold into something else. But yeah, I have no fucking idea.
All right, so what have you learned the most about the culture over the years? What I mean by that is, like, what do you think all your fans have in common? You know, what have you learned?
What have I learned? Fuck. I learned I missed the hell out of it after the past 2 years, for sure. But I don't know, man. Like, it's. Let's go back to that question. I want to give you a better answer. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm kind of stupid right now.
All right, we'll do that one last.
Okay.
So what scene did you come from back home?
Oh, well, yeah, kind of like I touched on earlier. I was when I lived in Richmond. I was definitely like part of like the punk scene there. Like I used to go to like the early like Avail shows, and Richmond had a pretty cool Richmond was cool because there was back then there was just killer bands in like every genre of music. There was like indie rock bands. The punk scene was amazing. You know, you had bands like Avail and Action Patrol, Inquisition, and they were packing like, you know, fucking 1,000 cap rooms, and kids were fucking all about it, and everybody was supporting each other, and even like the shitty bands were like having great shows. And I was in one of the shitty bands, and it was cool. It just, like it just seeing the way that people support each other, and there was like even some really cool metal bands. There's this awesome death metal band from back in the day called Disinterment, which Ryan Parrish drummed for them. He ended up joining Darkest Hour. I think Darkest Hour. I was like with Mike from Darkest Hour when Disinterment opened for Darkest Hour, and they were watching him drum, and they were like, "Holy fucking shit!" I was sitting right next to him, and I remember we were at a fucking bowling alley. It was like Disinterment playing bowling alley, and he was in the fucking band like a few months later. So that was cool. But yeah, shit like that. I don't know. It was like a little bit of DC action, bouncing back and forth in Virginia Beach. There was a lot of cool stuff going on in Virginia Beach too back then. It was like Blade Crasher was this killer hardcore band. I don't know. There's a lot of really neat stuff. So coming up into that, we were kind of like, my band back then was like the small kid band, when all this crazy shit was going on. We just like kept at it. And then I eventually started the Waste 20 fucking years ago, 21 years ago. In like a month.
Do you think the scene's as strong as it was back in the day, or do you think?
It's different. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't want to be the old guy, and be like, well, our day we fucking so much cooler, and it's like, nah, it's fucking great now. And like, there's the older bands are still fucking killing it too, like in just in the metal scene in general, like seeing like Carcass still put out fucking killer records. It's like inspiring. It's like scary. Exodus, holy shit, right? Like they just put out a new song the other day, and it's fucking awesome. So it gives me hope. Like, and I hope they're still like inspiring kids like I was inspired by Exodus. But even now, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of like younger bands that are fucking awesome, and yeah, it's real fun to watch. It reminds me of shit. But if I would say it's better or worse, I think it's the same. It's just doing its own thing, and sometimes you grow out of it and you don't understand. You shake a stick at the damn kids, or just live with it and support it and get excited about it. Just I'm a fucking music fan, so I want it to grow. That's why I'm here.
Dude, I actually just talked to Zetro like a month and a half ago, and he says to me, he goes, "You heard a new album?" I go, "No." He goes, "What the fuck, man?" He goes, "Come on." He's like, "Come on, man. You're impressed. You should have this." I'm like,
that guy is a fucking character, man.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, a couple more here. All right, heavy one. How has the style made a significant positive impact on your life today?
Oh, well, I mean, I've toured the fucking world with my best friends, and I've met some of the most amazing human beings in my fucking life. And I'm fucking blessed. Like, even last night, we were fucking crying last night. I was fucking with my, our like old merch girl who's one of my fucking best friends. She's like my sister. We're just crying because we missed each other, and I mean, you just get this bond with people over the years, and the longer it goes, the more it grows, and just I don't know. It's very important to me, and yeah, it's something that I'm fucking really stoked to be a part of, and try my best to not take it for granted, because you never know when you're gonna fucking lose it, because that shit can happen.
I think you cried at Metal and Beer Fest.
I teared up a little bit. I didn't cry. It's been fucking heavy
Yeah.
for a lot of people, man. I had fucking.
Yeah, it was the first show, right?
Well, yeah, that was the first one. It was extra weird for me because I left early. I moved, so I hadn't seen anybody. And my brother fucking almost died. He was in a coma. He got out of a coma like 2 days before that show, and he wasn't supposed to make it. So I was going through it, and just being able to be up there with like some of my best friends, like really fucking meant the world to me. I'm not a crier, dude. I don't. This guy's like, every time I see him, he's crying. Fucking tough as shit, man. What are you talking about?
No, it was just, it was really cool because, like, I remember the moment that I went to my first show back after the pandemic. I'm like, fuck, dude, I miss so much.
It's a wild feeling.
It's just like me. I go to I went to 2 shows this week. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm still like sketched out by it, but I also live in Florida, and it's like people don't give a fuck. But then, man, we're just in New Hampshire, and people don't give a fuck there, man. I mean, it's just weird. It's scary. I just think people are just so fucking over it, you know? I'm like over talking about it. I'm sure you are, you know? It's like, but it's just such a fucking crazy thing that like affected everybody.
All right, the next one is, can you come up just a touch?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. What advice could you give to someone who's trying to do what you've done over the last 21 years but has no idea what the hell they're doing?
All right, I love this question because I just like talked about this with somebody. Okay, so I would say if you don't know something or you're fucking confused or intimidated, if somebody's trying to get you to do something you don't want to do with your fucking band, or they want to sign you to their fucking label because they're friends with so-and-so, or shit's super cool, ask fucking questions. If you see a band that you like that you know, if they're somewhat approachable, or even if not, fucking drop them an email and hey, I'm in this band. We're fucking looking to sign a contract, or I'll tell you, man, when we signed to Earache, like, fucking Scott Hall and Chris from Lamb of God, like, walked us through the contract, and they barely knew us, you know? Like, I knew Pig Destroyer dudes, but, you know, it was just really nice of them to be able to, like, they're, like, more than welcome to help a young band out, and I feel like people should know that, like, you should ask questions and don't just fucking assume that, well, this band signed to that label, so it's probably a good idea. It's not. Ask questions. Figure it out for yourself. Don't be afraid to ask people, even if you think they're untouchable. Maybe you can reach out to them and they'll fucking be like, oh, hell no. Don't do that. But yeah, I think about those guys for doing that for us a lot, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, ask questions.
that question in specific, I've gotten a lot of, like Barney. He's like, dude, I don't come from that angle. I'm bad at advice. I'm like, Barney. that's like perfect, man. This is mad.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, I love that guy.
Barney's fucking awesome. All right, 2 more. So you're gonna laugh real quick. What is the most memorable roast story that you haven't told in another interview that is like funny or like downright terrifying?
Downright terrifying.
Or funny.
Does it have to be my band, or could it be something that somebody told me?
Make it your band.
Okay. I always think of this like cool ghost story that my friend told me. All right, so what's a fucking oh man, I try to think of shit like okay, all right, okay. We played a crazy show in Peru one time, and there was one of these crazy tours where you gotta fucking fly every day. So like you get off the stage at 1 a.m. and you have to be at the airport at like 6 a.m. So you literally just go to the fucking hotel to shower or whatever, you know. So like, we knew we had to be at the airport at a specific time, so we fucking, you know, took like 2 hours of sleep. We drag our shit down the lobby for the promoter to pick us up, and we're just waiting and fucking waiting, and nobody comes. And finally this dude fucking comes storming in the fucking lobby, and he's like sweating and shit. And we're like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, he's like, I'm sorry we're late. We're sorry. We're like, yeah, you better fucking, like, we're gonna miss our fucking plane, dude. Like, you're fucking up, you know? And he's like, I'm sorry. The promoter, the guy that we were dealing with all night and hanging out with, who was supposed to do it, the promoter, he got stabbed, like leaving after he dropped you guys off, and he's like in the hospital, like, and we're like, what? Like, yeah, they thought he had the money from the show, so somebody like followed us, and fucking when he dropped us off, fucking followed him home and fucking stabbed him, trying to get the money from the gig, and yeah, we're all like, we're all just like in the van on the way to the airport, like, fuck, like, all right, man, so, okay, I guess we'll let it slide. I don't know, like, what are you supposed to say to that? Holy shit, man, it was fucking terrifying. So yeah, I forgot about that. I had to think about that for a minute. That was a long time ago.
Wow, holy shit, man. I've heard some crazy ones where, like, fucking exhumed. He said that he went to jail because
he had a fucking crazy, yeah, Matt, man, like, yeah, because he had a bullet bill. Yeah. That shit, I've seen Phil do. He doesn't do it anymore. He's tried to bring a bullet belt to Europe. It was like 3 times in a row. They would like stop him, pull it out. It was like a whole. And he would get so mad when they would take it away.
All right, so next one before you freeze your fucking ass off. So, the mind melter. What have you learned the most about the culture over the years? And the off topic of that is, what do you think all your fans have in common?
What do I think all our fans have in common? I would say that I feel like if you're going to a Municipal Waste show, like, you're there to have a good time, like, and that's what's cool, because there's people that like our band that are just like into punk, and there's people like our band that are just into metal, and there's people that are, you know, in all kinds of shit or whatever, but they know they're coming to our show to like blow off some steam and have a good time, and that's the exact environment we want to create for people. Cool. Cool.